Friends, how are you doing? Are you excited? What a day. Once you know it, Nvidia came out with their quarterlies here, and obviously they're mind melting. Everyone is like, how is this company making so much freaking money? How is this possible? But they are continuing to break minds here. So I'm not going to talk about Nvidia because everyone underneath the sun is just talking about Nvidia. Yes, Nvidia stock is going to continue to rise here. It will probably be around $180 a share by Christmas. That is probably legit coming here very soon. The fact that the stock is still at 140 and some change is a gift from God because it's not going to be there much longer. So let's talk about two other stocks here. Obviously two different stocks, completely different stocks, and one of them in particular is being called the little brother of Nvidia here. So I'll talk about Palantir first here. And one thing I want to address here with Palantir is that it's the main comment I see, it's the main topic I see in chat rooms, things like that with Palantir, where Palantir has grown so fast. Palantir has gotten so expensive so fast that it is scaring everyone, to where everyone's like, I don't know if I should buy any more Palantir right now. I don't know if I should make a move on this. I've got some capital over here that I would love to put somewhere in a very good aggressive stock, growing stock, but Palantir, it's do you think it's going to stay at these prices? Well, I mean, everyone's wondering the same thing here about Palantir. I don't think that's I don't think that should be an embarrassing question for you to ask anyone. I mean, I'm asking, everyone's asking that. We're like, we were asking that at $50, like, you think Palantir, but it was obvious because even when we were at $50, which was like just a few weeks ago, Palantir was still bringing in deals. Palantir was bringing in news. So the problem, a good problem that we're having with Palantir at this point in time, is that Palantir just keeps releasing really good news. I mean, we've had the S&P 500 inclusion. Now we're having the NASDAQ inclusion that's taking place as we're talking. And, deals upon deals, bigger deals. A few weeks ago, their earnings came out, just face melting quarterlies, the biggest quarterly they've ever had. And it's probably going to continue to be like that, especially going in 2025. So, this is why a lot of people are going like, at $60, Palantir is probably going to continue to run. So I can't tell you how many articles I from the starting of this year around January, February, where we were wondering, do you think Palantir is going to run to $30-$40 this year? And a lot of articles were saying, by 2026, Palantir will be at $60. Those were legit articles I was reading. But since then, obviously, Palantir had a lot of heat still on it. And, January, at the beginning of this year, it was still a very hot stock. I mean, we were talking about Palantir last year. I mean, this isn't like new news. Palantir is very new on the scene with a very high aggressive move right now. But, we were still having these conversations last year this time. But what we're dealing with right now is that Palantir is just in a whole nother dimension with bringing in deals, with their capital, with, being debt free, with just having money they can set on fire, as essentially what they're saying here. And you have Alex Karp saying like, hey, we have no threats out there. We do what we do and no one else does it. And of course there's other little prototype companies that are trying to do this, but Palantir is so far ahead of the game. It's somewhat like a Tesla situation where Tesla is so far ahead when it comes to EVs. Palantir has really just gobbled up so much of the customer base out there. So that's why Palantir is just growing at such a fast rate and getting these huge contracts with our government that they've it's always been like their bread and butter, but they just keep getting bigger. And that's why right now Trump entering this stock market is such a big deal here in January, because we know when Trump was president, when he won in 2016, he kind of went into debt, but a certain kind of debt. He spent so much money on our defense sector. Okay, well, that's fine if you are an investor in defense companies, which Palantir is going to go right into that conversation. So we could see Palantir really get bigger deals from the Trump administration going into the next 4 years. And that's what a lot of people are thinking right now, not to mention that Trump has friends, Elon has friends in Palantir right now inside the company. So, we have those two things just kind of melting together right now. And that's what a lot of people are like, you should be fearful to sell out of your Palantir. You should be very scared. There's people that sold out at 50, 55, and they haven't bought back in because they're like, it's going to fall. It's got to fall. Palantir, even a bad day from what we're seeing right now, is still a very expensive day. And, for Palantir to go back to the 40s, I got to be honest, I don't know why would Palantir go back to the 40s at this point? You really think about that situation. There's no reason for Palantir to go back to the 40s. Why do I say that? I say that because we know it's coming. This NASDAQ inclusion here that's about to happen, taking place right now, is going to bring in so much more money for Palantir. So it's just going to help drive up the stock even more. And not to mention that we're going to have, before we know it, we're going to turn around and we're going to be seeing the last earnings here for 2024 with Palantir. And more than likely, they're going to be just as big, if not bigger, from what we just saw. So, and not to mention, there's probably another big deal around the corner that we don't know about yet. So that is why it's so dangerous to really just hold your feet out of the water right now with Palantir. You kind of just want to jump in the whole thing at this point. Even if you can buy 1 share, 2 shares, 5 shares, 10 shares, 50 shares, it's still a place you want to be right now for what's coming here in the next 5 to 10 years. So, how I started this conversation, talking about, is Palantir too expensive? Friends, if you're sitting in Palantir for, a long time at this moment, no, I don't think it's too expensive. I don't know how much more aggressive the stock is going to climb. I don't think $70 to $75 is that big of a deal at this point for Palantir to climb to, especially wrapping up the year here and getting into closer to these new quarterlies coming out here in some months here. So I don't think that's that crazy. Obviously, I'm speaking light here. A lot of people have Palantir come, walking into $100 range here within months, days. Some people have even bigger suspicions than that. So I don't think that's that crazy. And a lot of what you're starting to see take place with Palantir that always makes a stock very expensive, it's hype. It's FOMO. And that always makes a stock very expensive. So you have Palantir, who's just killing it as a company. And then you have just the hype around it where people are like, what if this is like another Nvidia situation in a few years? What if I don't be a part of it? What if I miss out? I don't want to miss out. What if 3-4 years from now, Palantir's having a 10-to-1 split? You don't want to miss that. That would be a nightmare to miss. So this is why, a lot of people are saying, there's a lot of big YouTubers saying Palantir's going to $500. I don't think they're wrong. I don't think they're crazy. I think they're right, but I think that's going to take a little more time to get to, obviously. But, the way Palantir's climbing here, I think it's very, choose my words carefully here. It's very naive to say that Palantir's probably going to sell back down to a $30 zone, $40 zone. It's almost impossible at this point with what it's bringing in. We're not talking about a $100,000 company. We're talking about billions of dollars at this point. But, even 6 months from now, think where Palantir is going to be. So, obviously, Palantir is not making Nvidia money, okay? Nvidia's on its own island here. But Palantir is making a lot more money than most other AI stocks and companies in general. So, there is plenty of, fantasy to drive you into thinking that, Palantir within 2 to 3 years could be off the charts expensive here, okay? We could, maybe by this time next year, Palantir could be at like $150 a share, and then we're going to be having the conversation, you think it's going to go to 200? It can't go to 200. Why would it go to 200? And then I'll be sitting here yapping my mouth like, bang, 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 bang. That's probably more likely, I would think that's a safer conversation that we'll be having here, at that time. it's too aggressive of a company right now to throw shade at it with the deals, with where it's going, with everyone that's wanted to be a part of it. It's just too risky not to be a part of what's going on at Palantir right now, and that should really concern you if you're like off on the sidelines, like I'm gonna wait, it's gonna sell, yeah, it's overhyped, it's overvalued. Yeah, I mean, the problem with that conversation too, with that comment, is that what do you think is going to happen if Palantir sells off to $55, even $50? What do you think is going to happen? Everybody in the market, including probably firms, are going to come in and start just gomping, just annihilating shares. They're going to start eating them up. I mean, I know I'm going to. If Palantir goes to $50, I'm gonna, whatever pennies I can scrape up, I'm gonna throw it. I'm gonna throw that in Palantir, because I know it's like, you're tripling your money into the future here. So even if Palantir sells off here, don't start sweating. Don't worry, it's gonna go right back up. I think majority of people right now, as with the conversation that I'm having, we're like, I just wish Palantir would sell off a little because I want to buy it. But the problem is Palantir's like, you know what? I think we're going to keep going here. I think we're going to go into a $65 zone. So friends, that's my thought. And, just kind of like, I'm seeing that comment out there a lot, like where people are like, it's going to sell off, it can't run that much higher, it's overvalued, which is an insane comment. People are just, I don't know, man. I don't know how much more proof you need that a company is just working, that sometimes it's just that good. It's just like, look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA released unbelievable quarters again. I mean, this company has like all the money. This company has all the money. And, it's literally like watching a Tyson fight in the 80s. You're like, at this point, you just want to see if he can get beat. You don't even care about him. If he wins, you're like, whatever. You just want to see, can NVIDIA have a bad earning at this point? I think that's what people are like leaning towards. We're just like, NVIDIA has won so much. Now we're just like, you know what? I whatever. I'm going to put my money in there. It's safe. Yeah, it's going to run up. Whatever. Boring. People love drama in the stock market. They love drama. And that's one reason Palantir is, a hot commodity right now, because people are like, I don't know. It can't. There's no way it can go up anymore. Look at what it's. There's no way. I'd be careful. It might trick you here. It might trick you. All right, friends, let's talk about DJT, Donald Trump's network company, his technology group, social media platform. Let's talk about what is going on over here. I'm going to be quite honest and shocked in saying this with you, that I am quite surprised that this stock has held this $30 range, and I'm almost proud of I'm just like, yeah, you go, Trump media, this is awesome, that the stock has held this position. I'm going to be honest, I'm going to eat crow here, and I'm going to say, like, listen, I thought this is still very possible, so don't unload capital in this company just because I'm yapping my mouth here. But I thought more than likely this stock at this point would probably sell down to $25. Now, of course, I'm saying that it'll probably shoot up to $35 a mark because I'm opening my mouth here. But I'm still having suspicion that, the stock will sell off a little more to 25. Now, if it keeps holding this 30 towards the end of November, I'm kind of suspicious that it's not going to see the teens again like I thought it was. I thought by December we would probably be at like $20 to $18, but with it holding its ground at this point, it's kind of hard to say that that's going to happen. So it's a very aggressive stock at this point. It's having movements of, it is trickling down. I do see that. It's obviously trickling down, but it's still leaving a lot of room for people to make pretty decent gains. I mean, just, days ago, this thing was at $26 and then it shot up to almost $33. That's a huge freaking gain, if you're putting some, nice capital in there. So, this is probably going to continue to happen, although it is sliding a little bit. So, like I said, I'm not going to be terribly shocked to see that it slowly sell off getting into December here. Now, with that, I've spoken on my game plan, what I think I personally am going to do with this stock. I feel comfortable buying in this stock again around like $20, or if it can make it back to high teens, I feel perfectly comfortable buying it at that range. Now, selfishly, what am I going to do with that? Okay. If this stock can fall apart going into December, and when I say fall apart, I just mean like people are just bored. It's not moving. The stock market's kind of like, and that's usually how Decembers go in the market. They're just like, people need money. They're cashing out. They need Christmas gifts. They're getting their taxes right for the coming, to get them all done, getting rid of bags, taking some profit, whatever. So I suspect that we will see some sell-off in a lot of stocks, but Trump media here, I suspect that people will just lose patience, okay? So as people start to sell off here, as people get impatient, they take money, whatever you got to do, I get it. I think a lot of people, including myself, are going to walk back in here in the high teens, maybe low teens, see how bad it gets here, who knows? Even I would feel comfortable buying it at $20 at this point, okay? Now, why do I say that? I say that because in January, when Trump is inaugurated, I know that this stock, the week of and week after, is going to run freaking nuts. I mean, if there was ever a moment in time for this stock to hit a triple digit, that is the moment. Now, will it stay at a triple digit? No, it's not going to. But this is going to be a very hyped up FOMO, very fast at a high stock price for a moment, and then sell off, and then find some bottom ground and sell off from there. So maybe, let's just throw a number out there, okay? Let's shoot low here. Let's say Trump's inaugurated. It's on Martin Luther King Day, so market's closed regardless. Next day, market opens back up. Market's going crazy. We know that's going to happen, okay? You don't have to be a genius to figure that out. That's just how it goes. But it's a Trump market too, so it's going to go even crazier. Now with that, Trump media here will probably be running pretty hard. And I wouldn't be surprised, the week before it ran really hard. So when there's blood on the streets with this stock, it's important to make a decision with what it's going to do here, where you want to be in it. Saying that, let's say that, after the inauguration, market's going crazy, Trump media is going crazy here, the stock's sitting around $60-$70, okay? I don't think that's crazy to say at all. Now, will it stay at those numbers? No, it's not going to stay at those numbers. But what's going to happen is it's going to trigger some big number there. And when that happens, people are going to start to sell off. They're going to start taking massive amounts of profit from where you bought in, okay? Maybe you're buying it at 30 and you're like, I feel comfortable holding 30 here. I'm going to wait till that time frame. After that, I think you're going to see obviously some sell off in the stock, but I am quite suspicious that most of 2025, a lot of it, especially getting into the summer, that this stock is going to hold around a 20 to 30, on a really good day, $40 position. Now, obviously, this is not a stock that you're buying in for their quarterlies, their earnings, their deals, anything like that. It's still a hype FOMO play even going into 2025, okay? It did that all this year. That was all that happened this year with this stock. It was just a hyped up play. That's fine. People made a lot of money. People had good moments, good times with it. I think that's going to continue here into 2025, okay? So that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for this stock to see how bored can people get with it. They sell off, get rid of their shares. We take a little more sell off every week. Week by week, the stock sells off. Now, I could be absolutely wrong with this. The stock could hold this $30 to $35 range, 26 on a bad day. I don't think that's going to happen, but it could happen. I know investors struggle with time and patience, and that's what I'm banking on, that people are out there are going to sell the stock, okay? And that may sound very harsh, but you have to be very honest and not naive to what the market is going to do here, okay? People are doing the same thing. Okay, even if people are in it, they're probably going into another account and they're hoping that the stock will sell off like I am. And they're going to throw a bunch of money in it, wait till inauguration week, before, after, whenever you're comfortable with your profit zone, sell it, walk away, and come back to it, sometime after that. More than likely, for me, I think that's what's going to happen here. Friends, I wish all of you best of luck. I will talk to you soon. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.